First, I wanted to give you guys, thank you for your answers. Those were all fantastic. Thank you for Kayla for teeing us up there and getting the ball rolling. Some common mistakes that we've seen from those, and a lot of these apply to this current cycle as well, with the dozens of applicants that we've already helped so far complete their essays. But going back to last cycle, the most common issues that we saw were people focusing on talking and telling instead of showing, and telling and talking instead of showing and telling. There's only one focus on one story or experience, which kind of bogs the reader down, and it's hard for them to follow you all the way through because there's not, we overshare a lot of times when we just share one story, and there's this fine line between sharing too much and sharing too little. And how do you walk that line? Same thing, sharing too many ideas or stories. If you share too much, the reader doesn't know what to focus on, and it's just overwhelming to read, and it's hard to keep all the details straight. Writing about how other people are awesome instead of yourself. Please never forget that this application essay is all about you, okay? In the best way possible. It's great that there's other people that have helped you out along your life. Maybe there's a pre-PT or another PT that you've really enjoyed working with. They were inspiring to you, or maybe there was a patient that you worked with that was really inspiring to you. But guess what? That PT and that patient are not trying to get into PT school right now. You are. And so you need to make sure that you are the star of your essay. Another one is a syndrome that I like to call pre-PT travelogue, where the pre-PT will go through and they will share every single thing that they've done to get them to that point when it comes to their journey to become a physical pre-PT. So they'll say, oh, I was going to go to med school, then I was going to be a nurse, then maybe I'll do PA, and then we don't need to hear all that, okay? Focus on sharing why you want to be a PT. One of the other things that I think is glaringly obvious that sometimes I feel like applicants unnecessarily spend time talking about this is we know that you like physical therapy, right? We know that because you're applying to physical therapy school. So focus instead on showing us what's unique about you, what's special, what you have to bring to the table. And then writing exclusively, the last thing that we'll talk about is writing about your own injury experience, just like everybody else. Maybe you're a soccer player, you tore your ACL, and now you're thinking, oh, I'm going to write about that because I had a really good experience with PT. Okay. That is an extremely common answer, and likely you are going to fade into the background. Okay. And that's not to be rude. It's not to say that that experience wasn't transformative for you. We have had some applicants that we will sometimes use their injury experience. It really just depends. It's a case-by-case basis. But in general, I usually recommend that applicants shy away from their own recovery experiences and talk about things that are more memorable and are different that they can include. Okay. And this is something else that's important as well. Please remember, on average, we only keep approximately 10 to 15% of any first draft that someone sends us. So if you feel like you're not sold on your first draft that you've written or multiple drafts that you've written, get help from someone. So that way you don't have to sit there and wonder if what you've written is actually going to help your application go the distance. But on top of that, don't be attached to your drafts, right? The object and the goal of writing this essay is to take you from an average applicant into an all-star. And regardless of your previous experience with writing, you can be taught how to do this and how to do it successfully, okay? So how important are your application essays? They are either going to be assets or liabilities to your application, okay? Now, liabilities can be in the form of maybe the things that you share or you include are not appropriate, or they're awkward or strange, or on top of that, maybe you use poor grammar and you didn't do a good job of actually writing an essay that's coherent. And so when someone reads your essay, that your essays are a reflection of you as a person. Okay. So if you want to make a good reflection and to have it be an asset to your application, keep listening, stay engaged. We're going to share with you how to do that. Please don't just write off essays. There are a lot of people who think it's not important. I have literally seen essays make or break applications time and time again. Every single year, we have applicants who send us emails back saying, such and such a person from the admissions committee told me my essay was what got me an interview invite or got me an acceptance offer. And that is all the feedback in the world that we need to know that our essays can be literally the difference between acceptance and having to reapply the next year. And we don't want any of you to have to experience that. Okay, now These may very well be the most important essays that you ever write or have written, but you've likely never been trained in school on how to do it. Even if you've taken a persuasive or a creative writing class, being able to sell yourself as an individual and to showcase what's awesome about you is difficult. It's challenging. And so to make sure that you know how to do it is the most effective thing that you can do. And it's difficult and challenging because most people feel uncomfortable talking about themselves and doing so in a way that is not conceited or arrogant. We're going to show you how to do that. This is a skill that can be learned. This is not just, oh, well, such and such a person's a good writer. I'm not a good writer. I'm never going to be able to get there. It's a skill that can be learned. It's a trait that can be taught, and it's something that you will carry with you throughout your entire life. So don't forget that, and be engaged and be dialed in. So that way you can be able to know how to apply these principles. Even after you graduate from PT school, you're applying to jobs. A lot of these traits are going to help you prepare for interviews, whether it's to get into PT school or future jobs. And all application essays have essentially the same goals. The first goal is to show the reader how awesome you are as a future PT and to make the reader remember you for the right reasons. So as a result of that, we've got to be careful and decide what we're going to include and how much detail do we include so we can stand out and be memorable, and also